Ho, ho, ho. Ho, ho, ho. I think we're ready to go. Hopefully people can see me. Just a little delay there. Okay, let's share something here. Don't want to just see the cool backdrop. So trying to go over what we covered in 2020. That wasn't that much, 16 conferences and a million other things, but we'll work our way backwards. Easier to remember it that way. So one thing that I've been working on lately is Flink Sql. If you haven't been around, you might have noticed that there's a couple things on Flink Sql. One of them is put this in a little Java app. This is part of the smart weather. It's also in a separate directory, weather. Very simple app. We do our connection to streaming, set some parameters, get them passed in on the command line. Important here is I'm connecting to the schema registry, so I know what the tables are, and I'm doing a select from this Weather New Jersey table. What's nice is it pushes that information into Atlas so we can see what we're doing. Then I'm getting that data simple as a row, so I don't have to set up any special Java objects there. And then at the end, I'm just going to drop it into the file system. Really straightforward. Just wanted to show you that first off. And we'll go through a bunch of articles that we covered. What you're seeing here is the results of a Flink SQL query. We'll close that down and go through that in a second as well. Down here, I was launching some other apps. Lots of different things we could do here in the platform. I wanted to show you hopefully I can make this a little better. This is that weather app we were just in. I deploy that to my constantly rebuilt demo server, which we show the Apache Con directory. That's how you can build up your own stuff there. Makes it pretty straightforward. So we do that part. And then when I want to run this, we connect on the platform. And like everything else, got a ton of directories, but we've got one here. Yeah, I copied that run job over from Apache. There's that jar. We've got a property file connecting to any trust stores we have. Here, I've got a SQL statement in there. Got the bootstrap for the Kafka, all those sort of things. How do I connect to my schema registry? Pretty straightforward. I also have out here, we're passing a couple parameters as well. I still try to figure out which is a better way I want to pass parameters, either one. Here, I'm in the Flink SQL command line. Let me show you. We've got a bunch of different catalogs. I don't know which one we're using right now. Let's take a look. We'll use the default one. We can look at the tables in there. We could see that there's only one. This is the stock events. This one I created. Again, I'll show you the GitHubs for that. What's unique about this one is I have a registry that connects to all my Kafka topics, but here I wanted to add an additional field and watermark, as you see in the Flink tutorials that we put out. This makes it easier to do some of those windowing calculations. So those are nice to have. As you can see, that's pretty rich SQL for the create statements. So I have that one here. I could take a look at that Kafka topic table. But first, while that's loading, let's go over here and see what are we doing here. Do we have that job? Yeah, here's this job running. You can see it just got initialized. Takes a few seconds. We could see it's starting to get data ready. I don't know if I'm pushing any data to stocks. We should go into NiFi and see what we have here. Okay, we can go into our stock app. Are we in the right platform? Oh, stocks 2. That'd be helpful. Okay, so everything stopped here. Let's everything start. I'm using 12 data, which is really nice set of data. They give you some free free calls, but if you're going to use in production, you can get the paid one that has more options and much faster and doesn't have any limits on here. This is a limit of a certain number of calls per hour. But we're just going to get some. I'm looking at Cloudera stock and Buddy stock. What's unique here is the records coming in JSON isn't the format I want. Now, in the past, I'd have to do something that wasn't as performant, but now I'm doing this fork record. This is a game changer. I don't have to jump out of records anymore. Not jumping out of records, a lot of performance. So within the data coming back, I'm getting these values. So I'm going to split that path out into a new set with this extract. And when I come over to here, it's in good shape. I can see a whole bunch of attributes, but we'll look at the data coming out as JSON. And you'll see some nulls in there because I haven't set those. Those are in the main record, and I haven't copied them down. But these are the ones that were in the sub data. You see we've got a lot of records in there. We could process a bunch in one flow file. Again, less flow files, probably better performance. Here, I'm not doing anything, but I could change field names, put a where clause on there. Could add a couple of different places I want to route. That one's sort of a placeholder at this point. Here, taking that JSON in, JSON out, and I'm doing some updates again as records, so the performance is good. Here, I'm going to take the date time field, convert it to its full format, get it as a number, so it's in timestamp Unix style. I'm going to add the symbol that came from attributes to every record, and I'm going to add the timestamp as it is from right now in NiFi, and the unique ID that NiFi had. So those fields are in there. Then what I'm going to do is here, I'm going to format the date time for one of the new fields. And then my last update, I'm going to make the date time a string again. As part of my cloning that field, I made two things. Makes that easy. Again, I'm going to read it as schema. This time I'm going to put it out as Avro. Avro works out really well for what I want to do. So I'm just doing that, pushing that to stocks topic, and it just pushed a bunch of data there. Really straightforward. Simple NiFi flow, but we posted that in that last article, and I'll show you that. We also goes into Kafka, must come out. So I read it to a Hue table. This is Hue lets me query these tables that are in Impala and Kudu and Hive or wherever really easy. Nice little tool here. I'm just querying this. This is Impala's doing the queries on top of the Kudu storage. And you can see the most recent data. That's from this morning. Pretty reasonably new. I should probably do another insert, get some newer data here. But this is pretty easy to query. I could use this for applications. I could also put it in, say, a visual application. I haven't really thought of a good one for this. So right now, stocks is just a table, but it's a chart, and I could, do everything I want to do in a report. A very easy way to do that. So that's nice. That's not why we're here. We were looking at the stocks in Flink Sql. So let's go back to our lovely command line, and we could see we have 7,000 pages of this. That's a lot, but we can navigate through this pretty easy. If you look at the bottom, this is the, most fun interface, but it gives me what I want. Really good for me for building up my queries. Nice way to get through my data. Now, we can do a bunch of different queries here. Let me see what tables we have. It's just this one because we're in the default catalog. I have other catalogs to show you how easy it is to do. I've put these queries in my GitHub here. We've got one that creates this table. I don't know if the dark mode in GitHub is the best yet, but give myself a star. Yeah, but it's usable. So I'm going to create a table. If I'm using the registry, I don't have to do this, but I wanted to add this extra field in watermark. And by default, registry is not going to do that because I added these new fields. But you see here, it's got my connector there. Connect to the bootstrap for Kafka, connect to the registry. So I'm going to store it as registry. It's a certain type of Avro, makes it very easy to do that. Plus, we've got those other commands in there. Now, I also have one to do a query. I've got some queries on top of this stock events table. So I could just copy and pasta here, paste that in. It's going to launch a new job. This is quicker once we get that SQL Stream Builder in. It says it's running already. That's pretty impressive. That's a pretty complex looking query. But I can see how many records there, when the window times are. You know, I've been running this a couple times. So couple different ones, number of stocks, number of rows. Again, just different queries that you could run. Now that query is going away. I also have this one here. This is interesting. This is an application, and I've documented that in GitHub as well. This one's just continuously running as a SQL query, and it's running this SQL here, which we could run this SQL to give you an idea of what it's doing. Again, this is operating on that table we created. No, it's operating on stocks. Now, stocks is in the registry, so we could switch to that catalog, or we can refer to a different catalog from where you are. And I've got that format listed here. So if I wanted to connect to one from the registry, I could just do that. If I wanted to connect to one from Kudu, I could do it like that. Just so if you're curious how to do that. Here, we'll just do it in that catalog that has that, so we don't have to write that cross join syntax. So we have this running. So we'll look at what query results those are. And we're going to insert into stocks alert. I have it doing one of the options for partitioning. I've been playing around with that, see if that does anything interesting. But the main part of this is insert into stock alerts. Now, if we pop into SMM, which makes this a real joy to be doing Kafka because it's so easy to navigate, see what's going on. So that's pulling from stocks, putting into stock alerts when there's a certain value reached. Got some notifications on here, so I know what's going on. So you see here, a lot of data. You can see it is pretty recent. That's from like 7 minutes ago. This data looks weird. So it's actually Avro, and here's its schema. So now I could see this in a more legible format. And if you're interested in grabbing the JSON, there it is. And this has got all the fields from the stock. I just have one partition here, but as you see, we've got a lot of data here. And if I want to navigate through all that data through this interface, I can, even though there's 154,000 pages of data. We're going to be here a while. People like longer videos. You want to scroll through all these? I do. Sorry. So we came down here. We're taking a look. This is the query it's doing. Makes sense when you look at what got loaded there. You know, I have some alerts here. Now I have that going into a topic. I can have an app read it. I can have, you know, NiFi read it, Flink, Kafka, Streams, Kafka Connect, Spark. You know, you get the idea. Let's see, we got a bunch of different catalogs. We've talked about this all year. It just keeps getting better. I'm very happy with Flink Sql. I'm really happy with the interface we're going to have and the extra features with materialized views and REST endpoints within SQL Stream Builder from our new friends from Aventador. So we have stocks coming in. We got stock alerts coming in. Pretty straightforward. Let's see if we timed out in Atlas. Yeah, we timed out. Got to keep everyone secure, even though this is a cluster I destroy every single day. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So we're looking at Kafka. I've got a bunch of topics that are showing up in Atlas. One of them, Weather New Jersey. This is the one populated by that app. You can see that name sounds familiar because that's that Flink app. And this guy's just taking from the Weather New Jersey topic, dumping them into HDFS, where we have, I'm just dropping it as files. Just as an example, there's a lot of different syncs that I could use. I could do all kinds of fancy things on there. Do I still have it open? Lots of hues here. I could just go into files, and we could take a look. I put this under the temp directory, just because it's an easy place to do that. And I could take a look. It's pretty straightforward. Dump a data here, just to get it in there. I'd pretty much do the same thing with Kafka Connect apps. I've got one here for stocks. We can look and see what it's doing. What's nice with this one is I populate this with a shell script, go on a REST endpoint. I documented that for you too, but it's really straightforward. Drop it into a directory, use the schema registry, pull in from whatever topic hits this guy, and dump it there. And I could see if I wanted to get in here on some details, getting some notifications. I could see a lot of data is going into stocks. Busy day in the market. Probably should have left that up. That was also going to HDFS, and we saw where that was going. That was going to temp and to stocks. We got too many windows open. Let's find out where we are. Stocks, Avro. And we can see here, there's a bunch of them here. They're all 1 meg. I got a big bulk one there, 10 meg. This one's still in progress. These are going to be pretty big. I don't know if I want to wait till that loads. A 1 meg Avro file in the UI over a single instance is probably not the most performance. But you get the idea here. Pretty easy to do stuff. One thing I want to do is show you a couple of queries that I have in here. This one's kind of interesting. This has got a tumble and a group by. That's pretty cool. Pretty advanced queries that you could do here. And they're deployed as scalable yarn applications. It's a nice feature. We can see here that guy's running. It says it's running. Okay, so we can see the data coming back. We can see the average values over time here for different times during the day. You can see these are 1 minute apart, 1 minute intervals, and what the average of the high value was. Just something you could play with, pretty easy to do. That is one of the things we've been working on. That's a nice one. Another one I've been doing, a big one for me during the year has been the weather. I like this because it's kind of interesting application. Calling a REST endpoint, but getting back a zip file, and then unzipping it, uncompressing it, getting a lot of XML. XML, most people, is a pain. We've got a built-in reader in NiFi. One step, I convert it into JSON, filter out some values with a query, and now I've got that data running. Might as well run this, have this come through, and then we come down here. A couple other features I like in new NiFi this year. Validate records. So I'm looking at that as JSON data. Look at the schema from the registry. We've got a couple of permissions here that I could choose. I choose to allow extra fields, and I'm not too strict on the type. Sometimes string, if I get a string in, I can convert it. That's up to you what makes sense. And if I have invalid ones, right now I'm just have them in a holding pattern. The good ones I'm going to send to Kafka. And then that's going to populate that Kafka topic for weather. I've got a application running in here, consuming it, writing to Kudu. You're going to see that's a very common paradigm for me. It's such an easy way to have your data streaming right into a fast real-time data mart. Over here, I'm doing something similar also storing this, but this is web requests, and I'll show you what that's coming from. It says here out to WebSockets. We have a little web application here. Probably start this up. Two applications, actually. I have NiFi here is hosting a web page. And that web page is over here. I'll just reload it. And this is getting data from Kafka to show you, what we're doing here with weather data. So the weather data is coming in. Let me crash the page here. I get too eager sometimes with my one node cluster. I hope I didn't crash anything. Probably not. I probably just crashed. You probably should have less than 500 tabs in Chrome. Might be having a network issue here. Well, I've got a secret here. Sometimes DNS gets a little foobar at my house. I'm not going to complain to anybody, but you know who you are. Okay, so we could just go in through the IP. Let's zoom in here a little bit. Let's get up to 125, makes it a little easier. Let's show you that WebSocket. So we had that web app in there. Next up, so I said this is Kafka to WebSockets. I want to show you that part. So as soon as that data comes in from Kafka, from that other screen, I'm going to put it into an HBase map, update that, and if there's any changes in the timestamp, do that. I'm borrowing this from a really good article out here on GitHub, and you could look at that. So I'm communicating with that application that I'm hosting here, single page app. It's using WebSockets to communicate, and we're checking against that HBase cache, and I'm sending the latest information over WebSockets. Now, we'll show you that part real easy. As you see, I'm getting that bunch of the weather data here. Now, the other thing I have in here is a little way to send data back. So this is a two-way street. So I'm sending that data to NiFi. That comes in here. As you see, it already came. This is the latest data. I come up here and we'll show you what we send here. Here was that message. Here's some built-in stuff on the WebSockets. I could see what the fields are. I'm going to build up a Kafka message from those fields that I want. And then I'm going to push that to Kafka. You can see we sent something. Obviously, the way to see things in Kafka is pretty straightforward. We're going to go to my favorite place in the world besides NiFi is SMM. Here's our web requests. Again, I keep showing you these alerts and hiding them. I created a lot of alerts because I have a script that auto-populates these because it's really easy to set up these policies with the REST endpoint. I turned them all off because there's so many here because it's very easy to do them. So I had them on every producer, like on every topic, broker, is there delays? Really easy to do these. I mean, you just put a name in and you select what you want to look at. So say you're interested in only one topic, gives you the list of the topics. Like this is something, how many bytes per second? What if it's less than a certain value? Then send a notification. So you see here, it produces nice, very legible query there. And I've got one notifier here. This is going to send everything over REST to NiFi. Easy process for everyone. It keeps a list here of everything that came through in case I'm interested in that. And it's besides sending it to NiFi, it's going to put it within topics so you could see it, if you're interested in that. I could take a look at the data here. Again, that common thread, use the schemas, comes in as Avro. I set my key in here, got the offsets. Is this the one we just sent? Yeah, there's the test from that airport. So now I've taken WebSocket data to Kafka, Kafka data back. You could see I could use that as a way to stream data in or add extra data to my system really easily from a simple WebSocket app. Obviously this could be made much more complex or powerful, but that's what I have. You see a couple of my tabs here died. Always fun here. Let's see if we can get back into Atlas. Yes, we can. Get a lot in NiFi. I could search in Flink, and you can see this was that app I was showing you before. I like to go through Kafka because almost everybody's touching Kafka. Now we showed the stocks. Web request is the one we just worked on. We get those web sockets in, goes into the topic, we consume it, and like I mentioned before, drop that into Kudu for storage. Straightforward there. So this is a nice little app. I like this. Pretty simple way to do that. It's a little fun there. So we go from there and put those web sockets. That's one of my newer apps. I like that. That's kind of fun. So we've got weather, we've got stocks. Very easy to do. We've done Twitter this year. Done a lot. There's articles for all these. There's articles on all the updates we had this year. Lots of new features out. Lots of documentation I put out there. Again, there's the one for weather. You can dive into these. These also will link you into where we are in Git. Again, these are all under Spann HW and GitHub, and there's a lot of ones in there. I try to put as much information as I can. One of these I highly recommend. I put together for Apache Con, and there is a ton of resources, a ton of different apps in here, and they've got everything. The schemas, parameters I use in NiFi, Kafka Connect app, HBase table create, NiFi flows, Flink Sql, Flink table creates, and everything there is scripted. I'm not super DevOps man. That's my friends Andre, Dan, and Paul. But I've learned enough that I can automate this. So every day, press a button, build up my demo. It's kind of nice. Got a whole bunch of GitHubs I like to have out there. Build some HDFS directories. Create my HBase table. Create my Kudu table. Create my Hive table. And here is, I'm checking my schema registry, make sure it's there. Go through a list of all my schemas and create them and post up all their content. So you've got all those schemas auto-loaded for you. Here I'm creating all the Kafka topics I need based on those schema names. Pretty easy. Kafka Connect apps are really simple. So I'm checking to make sure we're allowed to do it. And then if that's the case, load up all those JSONs and build all those Kafka connectors out there. Very easy. Then we can check it, get some metrics. And then those alerts you saw, same thing, posted a bunch of them up there. I've got a directory full of the JSON to build them. I'll load all those alerts. Very easy to do. I could disable them if I wanted to. So I'm disabled. I build a Flink yarn session. I need one of these running if I want to use the Flink SQL client later. And that syntax is there, but that's also in another shell script. I'm also shutting down 2 services that I don't use for my demo. You probably might want to use these in other ones for Minify. I have other ways of getting data here. And then I set up my NiFi, which is basically me loading parameters. Because once I have those parameters, it makes it very easy for me to, not have to hard code things. So if things change, I have this sensors one that I loaded before, and then I could see the parameters. There's some SQL. This is the most important one. I never want to hard code the Kafka brokers. They're always different. When I move to public cloud version or private cloud or wherever, this could change clearly. I might have 3 or 5 Kafka brokers. So keep that isolated. Nice thing to do. So that's nice. We've got a bunch of cool devices this year, and I'm hoping to do some interesting demos in January. We've got the new Jetson Nano 2 gig, got the NVIDIA NX, which is insane machine. I've got 4 cameras on it, I'm going to try to do 4 concurrent streams coming out of there. That's going to be a lot of data. Got a bunch of new sensor devices. We've got a cool one from Adafruit, and we've got some nice little Christmas stuff from Adafruit as well. So we'll have some things there. This one we covered a bunch of use cases for NiFi. That's a great one. Talking through the using the schema registry with Flink Sql, nice. How to do some DevOps. Bunch of different apps this year. Some things with deep learning. We talked recently at the MXNet conference. That was great. MXNet and DGL are doing some really cool stuff, and they're helping us Java people along, so you can still use that. Makes it easy to plug that into NiFi. I've got a couple of NiFi processors you could drop into your servers and use them for things like sentiment analysis, BERT QA, single shot detection, those sort of things. Lots of fun. And that only brings us to August. And we have a ton of other stuff with new releases for Flink and Phoenix, sizing your cluster, monitoring, more Flink. This is the year of Flink, man. Like I'm saying with my Flink stack, Flink, NiFi, Kafka. You got those 3 guys, you can do anything you want. Really good times. What else? Connected to Discord. This article I recommend. It links to a lot of great stuff from Mark Payne. He's put a series of videos out. If you are using NiFi, you want to use NiFi, you're thinking about NiFi, watch these videos. He's the guy. So you got to see that. And we've got a bunch of other tips in here, and I got links to best articles out there. Pierre's awesome. He's doing a lot of great NiFi stuff. There's a ton of people in the community. So definitely check out that article. Links to a lot of good stuff. This was a cool one. Obviously, Flink Sql to Kafka, so you got that continuous queries is nice. But sometimes you just want to look at Kafka at a moment in time, maybe join that with some other Hive tables. Hive can do that pretty easy. Sometimes you want to populate a cloud data warehouse. We got that for you. Very easy to do. So that's still only in April. Let's work back until before COVID, and then we'll wrap it up here. Bunch of different stuff here. New releases in NiFi the whole year round. This one, pre-COVID, is nice. This is connecting NiFi to Atlas. If you're using the public cloud one, pre-configured. But for those of us running, in small instances we set up ourselves or on your laptop, you might have to hand wire it. You're setting out like 4 settings. Not really that hard. But the value you get out of that is immense. You saw those charts, being able to know where your data came from, how it got from point A to point Z. Very important. What's cool, it uses Kafka. So if you look in SMM, you could take a look at that data and see it coming through Atlas. Like here, you can see the report lineage. Let's filter on that. Goes through the Atlas hook. It's not invisible to you. You can look in here and see the data as it's coming in. Jason telling you what happened for each step. So if you wanted to push your own data into Atlas, you could certainly code that. NiFi can do that. We did about a half hour here. Hopefully we covered a lot of the good stuff we did this year. There'll be more. There's a meetup tomorrow with Paul and with John, with all the cool people. Hopefully I will be there, and then it won't be as cool, but check it out. I think I've got this referenced in my meetup in the Princeton one, hosted by our friends across the river in Philly, but we're all one big virtual family here. So New York, New Jersey, Philly, anywhere in the world, please join. This will be recorded. If you want to watch it later, you could do that. But if you're around tomorrow, December 22nd, 2020, if you're seeing this from the far future, it's definitely recorded already. This will be 6 p.m. Eastern time. So if you can make it then, great. If you can't, try to dial in some other time. We should have a link to that later. Thanks for watching this. Hopefully everything recorded okay. If it didn't, this is a very, very long time me talking to myself.